Welcome, everyone. My name is Toros Aledjian. Thank you so much for joining us in our ongoing series, the SAP BTP Unveiled. Tania is off today. I have my colleague Sinan who will be manning the chat for your questions. We have a great agenda lined up for you today. And as you know, just to give you guys a recap, we held our first episode of our 6-episode series on January the 18th, how to maximize the business potential with SAP BTP, which should be available on YouTube already for you to view on demand. Today's session is SAP BTP, AI Vision and Strategy, Unleashing the Power of GenAI on SAP BTP. And then the other sessions on February the 15th, how to optimize app development and automation with SAP BTP, will be held on February the 15th. Just want to let you guys know some upcoming events and webinars that we have on February the 21st. Ask Me Anything on artificial intelligence. So if you're interested in joining, I'll put the links to these in the chat for you to register. On February the 13th, for the Americas and the European friendly time zone, and the 20th for the APJ friendly time zone, boost operational efficiency with SAP AI Business Services. On March the 21st, how to streamline collaboration and deliver efficiencies with SAP Build Process Automation. And finally, our Q1 episode on April the 10th, what's new in SAP DataSphere in 2024. So this will be a 4-episode, basically unveiled as we move forward throughout the year for each quarter. I'd also want to let you guys know of some of the practitioner forums. I won't go into the details here, but I'll put the links if you're interested in joining any of these as we move forward in today's session. Our speaker today is my colleague Arne Stich, Chief Customer Officer for SAP BTP and AI at SAP. As a custom officer for SAP Business Technology Platform, Arne promotes, drives SAP BTP AI innovations in the field, ensuring SAP customers can fully leverage its benefits. With over a decade of experience at SAP, Arne fosters a customer-centric approach for SAP BTP. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Arne. Take us away.
Thank you so much, Toros. All right, let me see if I can share my screen. And thanks for the wonderful introduction, by the way. It's my pleasure to talk to you all today about SAP BTP and our strategy around generative AI. So what I'm hoping to do today is give you all an outlook that you understand where are we in this topic, as well as where are we heading in the SAP BTP environment. So by the end of the day, you should understand what can you already do with SAP BTP generative AI, and it's quite a bit. And what will be coming, what can you look forward to by the end of the year. And it doesn't really matter whether you're an integration expert, whether you're looking here at the automation frame, whether you're a developer, right? I will give you a comprehensive overview of how SAP BTP and generative AI will come into play for you now and into the coming months. All right. Toros, just one quick question. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, good. Just making sure. All right. So let's set the scene a little bit, right, at the overall market view, right? We see AI adoption continues to accelerate. Even now, almost more than 1 year into the hype cycle, it is really, really about adoption. We see market reports, right? McKinsey making quite clear they see generative AI will likely add $2.6 to $4.4 trillion of incremental value to the global economy in the coming years. We see customers all over the place adopting AI, not just with SAP, with others as well, of course, right, at a rapid rate. So, I mean, just looking at the market trends, right? 1/3 of companies are using GenAI regularly in at least one business function or another already. So I'm assuming the remaining 2/3 will come pretty soon. 40% of organizations will increase investments into artificial intelligence because of the capabilities of generative AI. And 60% of organizations that were already using AI, whether it be machine learning or some other approach, are already using generative AI in business critical functions. So what does this mean for SAP, right? At SAP, we're focused on business AI, meaning how will artificial intelligence work in every aspect of your business? Yeah. Today, the impact is already felt in every business function. We see generative AI will further fundamentally change how businesses will work. We see three distinct outcomes of applying generative AI in your business. Right? Customers will be able to get the most important business insights delivered with clarity. Right? So that means proactive insights, which will be immediately delivered through natural language, spanning the entire business to unlock new and unforeseen potential. Right? Employee productivity will be augmented, delivering improved outcomes. Customers will be able to use AI to accelerate rapid delivery from onboarding new suppliers, writing job descriptions, development tasks such as coding, and test automation, as well as building ERP extensions, enabling employees to evolve from task work to outcome-focused work. And finally, right, we see the next generation of AI transforming and creating new processes which will transform business performance. This is a bit more long-term, but we see process optimization shifting from a simple enhancement based on industry standards to fully reconfigured end-to-end insights spanning finance, supply chain, HR, sales, really the whole process chain in your environment. So how do we want to do this, right? With SAP Business AI, we will build a system of intelligence with three core principles in place. It must be relevant, must be reliable, and most of all, it must be responsible. So what do we mean by that, right? By relevant, we mean everything will be embedded into our leading enterprise applications and business technology solutions, right? Customers can count on SAP to be future-proofed with most relevant AI experiences in the context of their business. Reliable, it must be based on the unique business data and business process context that you are operating in. We can deliver the most reliable business AI, and your AI is only as good as your data. So we have the most important data and are the only one with the business data context intact. Responsible, we will deliver AI with an eye on security, on privacy, compliance, and ethics, right? We have the right character to deliver AI responsibly. From our point of view, the more responsibly one builds AI technology, the more free an organization is to use it for good. For years, we've built AI with security, privacy, compliance, ethics, and accuracy in mind already. Our customers do trust us with their most critical data and processes because we know how to build and run powerful and trustworthy solutions. And that includes artificial intelligence, which touches the most vital data and systems. Okay, so we will embed it across the entire portfolio, right? And how will we do this, right? Business AI is aimed to make our business applications more intelligent and by infusing them. Right? We will provide business process-specific AI services that our customers can adapt to their own workflow, be it business document processing, data attribute recommendation, process automation, and so forth. Data is essential for the success of business AI. SAP has the access to that business data, right? Like I mentioned, across the entire process chain in your environment. In order to make business AI successful, we continue to build the best technology and leverage the best tools in the market. And that includes, we will have strategic partnerships, absolutely, right? We will work with AWS, with the Aleph Alphas, Anthropic, Data Robots, so on and so forth. We have varying levels of partnerships with all of these. Some we will embed directly into our products, such as what we're doing with Microsoft. Others, we will enable customers to build custom AI models based on SAP data in an easy and secure fashion. Right? So we see that the value of AI for businesses really increases exponentially when combined with industry-specific data and deep process knowledge. And this is exactly what we bring to these partnerships. So let's bring BTP into the picture here, right? So the SAP Business Technology Platform is our unified and open platform that combines all of these capabilities in one business-centric public cloud platform, right? You already saw in the session on January 18th what SAP BTP is overall capable of, right? And today we want to take a closer look both at the AI pillar specifically here, as well as how we will integrate it into all the remaining pillars. Like I mentioned, this will be your takeaway for today. By the way, right, Toros, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, feel free to post your questions in the chat. Yeah, we have a Q&A session here at the end, and I will try to answer as many of your questions as I can. Okay, so now let's take a look at the AI pillar of SAP BTP and what that really means. So SAP BTP provides a complete set of services that enable developers, and that includes customers, partners, and is also used heavily SAP internally to create solutions with artificial intelligence. Not just generative AI, but that's definitely a big part of it now. These services form an AI foundation from which developers can pick whatever they need to build their applications. In the AI foundation, developers can find services to start the projects, as well as capabilities to train, manage, and further their own models, and services to successfully manage data for their AI models. Now, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. What does this mean? So developers can bootstrap their solutions. If we start at the very top here, right? There are the AI services, which are pre-built services, which allow you to extract information from any kind of document, whether that be PDF, scans, or anything like an email. We have automated recommendations and text translation capabilities into multiple languages. Yeah, but then, of course, we also address the technical side of the house, right? If you want to create a new model to work on from scratch, you will find all the models of services there to create models, train them, evaluate their accuracy, and publish them for inferencing. Yeah, we are also adding the ability to create applications which can utilize generative AI capabilities by providing the necessary tools to seamlessly access multiple large language models providers. Right? This is what we mean by the generative AI management side of the house there. Developers can just use the SAP BTP AI environment to create solutions and various partner models that SAP has made accessible, while also benefiting from working within the SAP legal and commercial framework. So, for instance, also to optimize the responses obtained by large language models, right, and remove the risk of hallucination. The HANA Cloud database will enable the storage and retrieval of documents within its new vector capabilities, right? These attributes will allow for HANA, the output, to be fed to the large language models and restrict its answers to content that is information constrained, meaning it's also relevant and true. I have a little bit more on that later on the vector engine capability of HANA specifically. You will also find the SAP AI Launchpad, right, which is a graphical interface to create and test your prompts against multiple large language models. Using this tool, you could find out which model best answers your needs, and you can adapt your prompt to provide the best response. With this single interface, you can work on multiple large language models in parallel to easily compare results and choose the best prompt that can then be embedded into your own application. And let me be clear, right now we have a number of providers in there, including Azure OpenAI, of course, whether it be ChatGPT 3.5 or 4.0, or even the 32K large character set, Falcon, and a few other models as well, and we're continuously adding to those. Maybe a word on the commercialization, right? The Generative AI Hub is part of the SAP AI Core and is commercialized following the SAP AI Core standard approach. So that means via our Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, right? You can choose a model, which will then be measured by the number of input and output tokens processed. Yeah, and the usage of those tokens will be converted to CPA credits. I have a link later on that I will share with all of you where you can find out more. Now, what does that look like applied, right? This is a lot of theory. So what does that mean? I have here a pretty complex diagram. Please don't fret, right? We will not go through all of this in detail. What I want to highlight here is that on the SAP Discovery Center, you will find reference architectures, such as the one shown above, which demonstrate, including sample code and sample projects, how to combine various large language models using SAP AI Core. Right? So this will be the foundation upon which you can already start, the template on which you can start building your applications. Right? In this case, it is using the SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, and it demonstrates the implementation of several advanced methods, such as custom schema-based output parsing and retrieval augmented generation with embeddings and the vector database capabilities to further enhance the benefits for your specific needs. This will work, by the way, both on Cloud Foundry and Kima runtimes and within SAP BTP, providing adaptability in your journey to leverage GenAI on SAP BTP. So if you really want to get your hands dirty and see how this works, this is your entryway for your developer needs and to really get your hands on. Next, I want to have a look at how we will apply generative AI capabilities across the SAP BTP portfolio. I also want to mention here, right, as Toros already showed, there's a number of sessions in the Unveiled session coming, specifically on those areas. And they will, of course, also dive deeper both on everything that is happening in that area around GenAI as well as capabilities beyond that. So I really want to encourage you to take those in. It's a large field to cover, right? All right, so the obvious place to start for me, at least, is that we have a look at what will application development look like, right, with generative AI capabilities. I think all of us who are development-minded and have played a little bit with ChatGPT or some of the other models can see that the applicability there is quite high. So to set the stage a little bit, right, for SAP BTP, we offer development environments supporting all types of developer personas, right? That means from pro code up to low code. That means SAP Build down to the other environment, right? In SAP in 2022, we released SAP Build, right, which is this entire portfolio, and have achieved significant momentum over the past year with 10,000 customers globally so far, and still growing. So now I'm happy to say that we are announcing SAP Build Code, which will be AI code generation optimized for Java and JavaScript application development. Right? This will provide a turnkey developer environment for coding, testing, integration, and application lifecycle management, aided by generative AI. Right? This is tailor-made for SAP-specific development with rapid extensibility of SAP S/4HANA and other systems in mind. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide here, right, this technology provides value to all enterprise applications, right? Both SAP and potentially third-party systems, whether it be enterprise resource planning, CRM, customer relationship management, and human capital management applications. So what will this look like specifically, right? What we see quite clearly, the challenge oftentimes when getting started, especially in a new framework, is right, that requires quite a bit of upfront learning. And of course, generally writing code is not a simple thing. So really writing code is hard to a degree, right? Even experienced developers regularly need to consult documentation, which is a significant part of their workday. Also, some tasks such as test data creation can be quite tedious. One must always ensure that the test data fits to the model and it's up to date, and so on and so forth. Right, so with SAP Build Code, right, we are aiming to provide from within the SAP Business Application Studio IDE, a developer can create all the necessary CSS files which define the entities, relations, and services according to a natural language prompt. Right. Maybe a little bit of an excursion. What does CDS stand for? It's core data services. That's the backbone of our cloud application programming model. Right? It provides the means to declaratively capture service definitions, data models, queries, and expressions in plain JavaScript implementations. Right? And the interesting bit is there that I can now take a data model and a description of the functionality that I want to have. Right? And generative AI can create the business logic as well as the CDS entities, services, and sample data based on that. Even existing applications can be changed just by providing a description of the desired functionality, right? And it would also take over the generation of unit tests to some degree, right? And this is something that was just published in January, right? But of course, that's only the start. Yeah. there will be many more capabilities added over the coming years, so it really is valuable to stay close here. If you're a developer, please have a look and dive a little bit deeper. What we see, right, also based on internal testing, up to 30% time reduction to generate data models and services. That initial bootstrapping step, right, which can take quite a bit of time, especially the first few times in a new framework, becomes significantly easier, right? Which in the end improves developer experience and should empower users to answer technical business questions on their own, right? Let's have a look at the automation side of the house. Right. Overall, we see a lot of demand for generative AI around document recognition, and as well as in the area of robotic process automation, and that can be attended or unattended RPA. Right. Now for 2024, and this is a little bit more long term, but we envision around half year 2, we will have low code generation with executable process AI in place. Right. Similar to the challenge that we have within the Business Application Studio and Learning the CUP framework, we see overall, right, business processes and automations are complex to model. Right. It's understood your processes are not necessarily always simple, and there's usually a good reason why they're not simple. Right. And that means business users need to ramp up on tools. They need to be experienced within that domain to model those processes and automations to provide good output. Right. And even that specific tooling does require quite a bit of time from experts to build those executable automations and make those decisions. And what we are looking to do there this year is to provide interactive modeling with proactive recommendation and validation aided by generative AI. Yeah, so what does that mean? It means generation of processes, of automations, forms, and decisions using the inputs provided in natural language by the business experts. So again, the business expert can describe in his words or in her words what the desired capability, functionality is, and the outcome will be an interpretation of that generated by generative AI. Right? All of those artifacts can then be reviewed and modified as needed, of course. As well as we aim to have recommendation of pre-built content from the store. Also something, right, just with the sheer number of options, it's sometimes a little bit tough to get an overview, right? This is something that where we see generative AI definitely helping, being aware of what is in the store, what is already pre-built, so you don't spend time building functionality that is already ready to consume out there. As well as on the other side around, right, for complex artifacts, we imagine that summarization will be possible. Meaning that you can provide a process automation, a rather complex one, and our capabilities would then deliver a description of what that actually does in natural language, understandable by business experts. Right? And overall, expectation is that this will lead to faster time from design to execution, as well as an overall improved quality of the process automations, as everyone has basically the knowledge of the experts at their fingertips. As you can see, we're covering a lot of ground. I'm really looking forward to your questions, by the way. And like I said earlier, right, there are dedicated sessions for each of those pillars, which will also go a little bit deeper on all of what I've mentioned here. So let's have a look at the integration side of the house, right? One of our most used, most adopted services out there in the field. We see heavy adoption of the Zap Integration Suite. And of course, this is also something where generative AI will come into play. Right? So what are we about, right, with the integration suite? What is our goal, right? We must always enable Zap to Zap integration. This is really our field that should happen out of the box, right? But of course, when we're talking about integration, we will always play nice with others and make it easy to integrate SAP with your third-party applications as well. And of course, given where our systems are today, right, we live in a hybrid world, right? Parts of it will be in the cloud, parts of it will be on-premise. And that needs to be possible, first of all, easy and also secure. Right? And with the integration suite, we have paved the way to move from on-premise to the cloud. So, I mean, I can only recommend the deep dive session with my dear friend Udo Palzer later in this series. But to summarize, right, what does the integration suite do? It's a number of capabilities. It's for app integration, right? There's API management capabilities in there, as well as B2B integration. With the advanced event mesh, there's event-driven architectures, as well as regulatory compliance and guide integration practices as well. Right. And then, of course, there's the Business Accelerator Hub, which is a store with thousands of pre-built integrations. Right. And this is where you can already imagine, similar to what we had on the automation side, right? We envision that our chatbot Jewel will recommend integration content proactively based on API and data graphs that are in your landscape and guide you towards the quick adoption and to use really the best knowledge that is out there. Okay, so again, similar to the code development story as well, right? What we are also, I'm happy to give you a little bit of a preview here, where we are heading later on in the year around the integration suite, right? We imagine that the integration flows will be generated by GenAI. Yeah, so that's data flow and data mapping, which we are looking at again, second half of the year is likely when we will have the first live scenarios happening there, right? And like I described, right, as a customer, the integration scenarios can be quite complex, right? There are diverse applications that need to be integrated and a whole host of systems in the landscape, both SAP and non-SAP, right? Hence, quite a lot of effort needs to be spent to design those integrations and APIs needed to make them happen, and to have the right domain and technical expertise to even model those transformations between the various systems. Right. So as the first step, like I mentioned, will be the recommendation of standard integration content from our 3,000 plus pre-built integrations, meaning you can describe a scenario and we can see via the chatbot whether there's some standard functionality already built that you can just plug and play into your environment. Yeah, as well as the generation of integrations, right? So based on a prompt for a specific integration scenario, different connecting applications and business partners, it will generate interface mapping, scripts, and integration flows. And of course, there's always the potential to leverage integration data to generate test cases and mocking backend systems to accelerating developer productivity. At least don't get too stuck on these numbers, right? But we imagine really it should lead to a significant increase, up to 3 times faster time to design, as well as a significant cost-saving factor, right? With the reduced effort, we really hope to bring down those costs of building your integration environment while keeping the same quality that you already have. Okay, moving on. So let's have a look at the data and analytics side. And again, this is a little bit of a preview of the capabilities. I think Thomas Hammer is later on having in a few weeks a session specifically on what's all coming in this environment, both GenAI and non. Yeah, so I would really, really recommend that you have a look at that as well. So overall, just so we are clear what we're talking about here, right? When I'm talking about the data and analytics portfolio, I mean SAP Analytics Cloud, I mean SAP Datasphere for your business data fabric, and I mean SAP HANA Cloud for intelligent data applications. I will not dive now in detail on what all of those do. Like I said, there's a very, very good session giving you an overview coming up in a couple of weeks. But for those of you that are already using some of these capabilities, right, I also want to give you an outlook of where we are on that. So in the SAP Analytics Cloud area, right, we want to help business users to get accelerated insights via natural language. We will do that via just ask for SAP Analytics Cloud, which will allow for AI-powered queries for analytics in natural language, right? This is already in controlled release, expected to go to general availability pretty soon, right? So this is something that's coming in the very, very short term, right? Again, the challenge is that information consumers have little to no experience with analytics tools. Information consumers, but need access to insights via those limited existing dashboards that have already been built, as well as on the IT side of the house, right? They face the challenge of keeping up with the growing demand for more and more data insights, and building all of those dashboards that are available. And we envision that with Just Ask for Zap Analytics Cloud, we will empower information consumers to get access on their own. Right? So that means really scalable use of analytics to fully leverage your data assets, and also freeing up capacity for your analytics teams so they can really focus on delivering those strategic insights, right? Like I said, controlled release is already happening there. We can already see a little bit with our customers what the outcomes are. So what we can definitely tell is accelerate the access to relevant insights. Again, you can describe what you need, and it will try and make that for you. We see increased analytics adoption, especially for those occasional users, right? Where they can now really profit from those insights simply because they can ask what they're looking for. And we can tell that, right, users are empowered to answer their business questions on their own. Again, much, much simpler consumption overall of all the data assets that you have in your company. Moving to the other side for our technical-minded guys in the audience, right? We are also about, and I teased this earlier, right, that the SAP HANA Cloud will be enhanced with vector engine capabilities, right? We announced that back in TechEd 2023. In the next couple of weeks, it will go live. And it really solves the challenge of providing business context generative AIs using embedding vectors to improve the results based on retrieval augmented generation. So what does that mean, right? RAG is often the term. So RAG is an AI-specific framework for retrieving facts from an external knowledge base, right? That might be very specific to your company and your needs, and also hosted in your environment, to ground the large language models so that they can provide the most accurate and up-to-date information to give users insights using large language models. So this is something that really will make the generic capabilities of LLMs specifically applicable to your company. And we see a lot of demand for this. Outcomes quite clear. It will allow for coherent and fact-based responses with your business context. It will significantly reduce the risk of hallucination. And it will also mean that sensitive and confidential information remains secure. Again, it would be hosted in your HANA Cloud instance, not something that would be available publicly for those LLMs. So those were the 5 pillars, right? If you counted with me. But I want to make sure we are also going to embed generative AI capabilities within the BTP at the administration layer as well, right? So one thing we are definitely looking at is we want to simplify the administration of BTP in the BTP cockpit using Jewel, our chatbot capabilities. You might have seen this already in last year's TechEd, where we announced this capability, right? And really what we're aiming to do here is AI can then help you with the day-to-day tasks for your administrator, ranging from the expert IT user who wants to set up maybe a new BTP account for their customers, that's internal or external, as well as to citizen developers who want to onboard new users to their BTP account quickly. They can describe their ask in natural language, and the Jewel assistants within the BTP cockpit will then execute those tasks. That also means as an end user, right, you can get up-to-date recommendations around BTP services and are always up to date on all the administrative details of your BTP account. You can simply ask, right? How many sub-accounts do I have? What roles are in a specific sub-account, so on and so forth. So that also means you can really seamlessly move around in your environment. You don't always need to learn the specifics within a specific service administration within SAP BTP. Jewel is there to assist you. We also see a large demand, right, for the automation of specific tasks within SAP BTP, right? And there I'm happy to announce to you the Zap Automation Pilot, right? Which is an application within the SAP Business Technology Platform DevOps portfolio, right? It's a low-code, no-code automation engine, right? With the main goal being to simplify and automate those complex manual processes and tasks that are executed by any DevOps or operations team on SAP BTP today, right? So our customers can really benefit out of an already provided SAP-provided commands for automation and design, and use their own custom ones on top as well, right? This will be with an UI, which users can then use to model these automation flows in a low-code, no-code manner. Okay, so that was quite a lot of information to digest. Like I said, really, really looking forward to your questions here. Also really hoping that once all of these come live, for those that aren't yet, right, that to get your feedback to see how they're working in the field. One thing I do want to sort of double click on whenever we talk about artificial intelligence and specifically with generative AI, right, I do want to highlight how we as SAP work with these technologies, right? We have a strict set of principles around ethics and data privacy that I want to make sure that you all understand that we follow, right? So for years, SAP has built AI with security, privacy, and compliance, ethics, and accuracy in mind. I mentioned this earlier already, and our customers must have the trust, right? That we, with their most critical data, are following those principles, right? And our ethics policy clarifies how SAP's guiding principles relate to AI use cases applying to SAP and all employees worldwide, defining intent, expectations, and obligations for employees involved in the development, deployment, and sale of artificial intelligence systems. Our product standards for data protection, privacy, keep your data safe, right? Your data will not be used to train large language models like ChatGPT, for instance. That's always a very important distinction to make. And finally, we have a governance model, including an AI ethics steering committee and an external ethics advisory panel that continuously monitors and provides safeguards for our artificial intelligence systems. So, right, like I mentioned earlier, we really want to make sure what we do, we build responsible AI. We follow the same core principles that we follow in all our developments, meaning we follow our global AI ethics policy and our product standards. And again, I just really need to underline this because it is a question that is asked quite often, right? We will not make your data available for retraining by all of those other LLM providers that we also use under the hood. Data that is within the SAP environment will securely stay there. Okay, all right, so that brings me to my conclusion. So, right, what I want to make sure that you guys take away, right? SAP BTP powers SAP Business AI, right? It's the engine, it's the motor. Oh, what happened here? I apologize. SAP BTP utilizes GenAI to boost your productivity, and SAP BTP and AI are reliable, relevant, and responsible. Right. So what's to come? Right. We will continue to build out SAP BTP across all our capabilities, always having the B of BTP in mind. Right. We are a business technology platform first and most of all, and that is why we, together with our partners and our customers, will provide the business content across all our services to share best practices and reduce time to value. Second, a common theme across all our planned innovations is to constantly simplify the user experience and make life easier for our developers and business users on SAP BTP. Yeah. Think of all those AI examples I just mentioned, and in general, on emphasis on low-code tooling. Right. And third and finally, there is a lot of innovation happening on SAP BTP this year. much more than I was able to cover even in today's section. So I would very strongly recommend, and I have the link on the last slide here that will be shared with, there is a roadmap where you can check that is continuously updated, where you can always stay up to date on the latest developments around AI and SAP BTP. As well as, maybe as a central entry as well, I want to highlight the SAP Discovery Center, where you can find out much more. The reference architecture I mentioned earlier, as well as use cases and other services that you can use here, missions, customer stories, so on and so forth. And then that is the end of my presentation. If you scan the QR code mentioned right here, you will find the SAP BTP roadmap that I just mentioned earlier. I want to thank you so much. And now let's dive into your questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arne. Thanks for that really great presentation. If you have any questions for Arne, please do type your questions in the chat. I know, Arne, there's a lot of information in your presentation, a lot of links. Some of our participants can get it could be a little daunting for them. What do you think is the best and simplest way for them to get started into something that maybe they've got zero knowledge on?
Absolutely. I would highly recommend that the Discovery Center is the best place to get started, right? If you look in there, you can maybe do it better. This is now an unplanned live demo. Let's do it. So if you open the Discovery Center, right? I hope, let me know, Toros, if this is readable.
Yeah.
I will also zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better, yeah.
So you can follow me along a little bit more, right? So if you want to find out more, right? If you want to learn how to implement those technologies that I just mentioned and many more, right? All the capabilities of SAP BTP. There's our mission catalog, which is really a catalog that takes you step by step. Let's take the first one, right? For instance, how to process and approve invoices with build process automation, many more. I want to highlight here, right? You can always search for something. You can always say, hey, I'm looking for something around artificial intelligence, maybe, right? Or something industry specific or line of business, and filter by that. And of course, there's a great mission. Get started with SAP Business AI. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more, which will give you an introduction, a deep dive on what I mentioned just earlier on SAP BTP, but the overall SAP strategy as well. So that really comes highly recommended from my side. That will give you a very good overview, especially if you're enterprise architect or in some way, shape, or form, or in that role, right? If you want to learn what we have planned there, what we are already doing, how that all works, this is a great place to start.
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead. So sorry, I cut you off, Arne. Go ahead.
No, all good. I just want to highlight a little bit what you can all find there, right? The reference architecture that I mentioned earlier is, of course, as well in here, including a detailed description of what is actually happening there. And like I said, the sample catalog. So like I mentioned, if you want to see this in practice, if you're a developer, if you are a development architect, right? This bit comes very highly recommended. If you're interested in the capabilities of specific services, if you want to find out more on Zap AI Core, right, which builds the foundation for all of this. Right, there is a link to all relevant content in there, right? There's integration content. There's the resources to help you get started, right? Including a high-level description, feature scope, link to the what's new, tutorials, and something that I really want to highlight in here. By the way, if you are interested, We have a Zap AI core community. So for those of you that are a bit more technically minded, this is the place where you can also get into interact with all the peers out there in the world, where you can ask questions, discuss, so on and so forth.
Okay.
And that's my 3-minute answer to that question.
That's great. That's great. And just focusing on a little bit on the mission. So for our participants, if you guys are interested, the SAP BTP Garage series focuses on deep dives on the missions. So if you're interested in joining us, we are planning a couple of AI missions in the near future. So if you want to join that community, it really gives you a little bit more deep dive into the specific missions. So that's another opportunity for you guys to get this information. Sinan, are there any questions? I do see a number of questions. So do you have any questions that we can sort of read off?
Yes, we indeed do have a few additional questions in the chat window. So let me start maybe with the first one. So it says, just like Nestlé's use case, are there other use cases available on the Discovery Center?
Oh, I'd need to. It would be interesting, Nestlé. There are a number of use cases. I'm wondering what specific area this is referring to, whether this is specifically to artificial intelligence or, I mean, we do provide the references on there, and there's for every kind of service we have, there are a number of references on there. Would be really interested to know what you're looking for as a reference. Maybe what concrete business case, use case you're looking at. I would recommend have a look in the Discovery Center. Yeah? Click around. There's a lot in there, I understand. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, you can find the link, by the way, leading to the Discovery Center in the chat window. So we have included it there. So we have a couple of additional questions. So the next one is, what is the general availability date for Jewel within BTP?
Like I mentioned, right, we are looking at this within Q1, and I can't be really much more specific than that at the moment. So basically soon, right? We're in the middle of Q1. It's not too much longer than 2 weeks.
True that. Thank you, Arne. So the next question is, do these AI models work with other databases, or can they only be run with HANA database?
Well, that's a fair question. Like I already alluded to a little bit earlier, right? HANA Cloud will bring those vector engine capabilities, of course, right? If you use the cloud application programming model, there the HANA database or HANA Cloud service on Zap BTP is specifically part of that model. Yeah. But for sure, I've also seen out in the field that people used other data sources out there. Technically, it's possible. I would highly recommend looking at what's the best fit for the use case there. First stop, my recommendation is always look at HANA Cloud there. First of all, that's really, really well integrated into all our development workflows, as well as into our products as well.
Thank you. So the next question is, will it be possible to extend the functionalities of Jewel to BTP?
Okay, yeah, fair question. One that we get quite a bit. This is something that we're looking at in quite a lot of detail. Currently, I cannot commit or comment really on what we are planning to do there, what will come and when. But for sure, this is something that is asked quite a bit, right? Jewel is like I showed earlier, coming for the first products. Many more are planned, and extensibility is definitely something that we are looking at.
Many thanks. So the next question I can probably answer. Can you please share this presentation? So you, the participants, will be able to access the presentation via the description of this session, the description of this video, very shortly after the session has been closed. And the next question is on AI, how does SAP see the customers pursuing it? General, overall, or inside each use, service, or product?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I've talked with quite a lot of customers over the past year about this, and the answer is really simple. It's all of the above. It really depends on the customer and who you talk to, right? But overall, what we see in the market, what I see in my interactions, whenever we talk with customers, with partners, right? Right now, everyone is looking at where can we really leverage the capabilities, the promise that generative AI shows in our business. So it's very holistic. If you are an integration expert, yes, you will absolutely look at how to generate integration content in there, and this will be your primary focus. We see at the enterprise architecture, at the IT manager role, they're looking at this a little bit more holistically as well. And even if we look a little bit more to the outside world, right, we can see already how all of us are using GenAI sometimes in our literally daily work. My little example here is always, I have folks who build a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and they need a lot of pictures, and good pictures. And whereas before they had a database of approved to use, publicly used pictures, they now use GenAI in their daily work. They just type what they want, they describe what is needed. And within literally seconds, they have the content in there. They can fine-tune it as needed. It's really amazing, right, to see sort of where it can become very quickly a daily use tool to have. And we envision the same will happen within Zap BTP, and I think really across the entire SAP portfolio.
Great. So there's one more question in the chat, which is, are or will the AI tools in BTP be available in both public and private cloud?
I think with BTP, we need to distinguish, right? Or we don't need to distinguish qualities. BTP is in the public cloud, right? This is where we make all of that available. What I'm guessing is a little bit more that this goes in the direction of our S/4HANA portfolio, right? It does come in public and private cloud flavors. And in principle, I mean, BTP will be the core enabler, right, to consume that technology, right? And you can absolutely call the BTP, call services, applications built there from S/4HANA public or private cloud. That is feasible and possible. But that's an assumption I'm making based on the question, and I apologize if that's not what you meant. But in principle, sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Arne. So I can currently not see any additional questions in the chat. So if there are any questions, you also do have the opportunity to approach us afterwards. So you can find our mail addresses in the chat window. So please feel free to reach out to us if there are any questions in addition to the ones you have already posted. So with that, I hand it back to Toros.
Okay, thank you, Sinan. Thank you, Arne, for a great session. If you guys have, like Sinan said, if you guys have any additional questions, we do have another 5 more minutes. This is an opportunity to ask Arne all of your questions around AI. I have put Arne's contact information in the chat, as Sinan mentioned, as well as myself, my contact information and Tania's contact information. I've also put the links for you to register to our upcoming webinar series, as well as our practitioner forum and the garage series that I mentioned earlier with respect to the missions that Arne had mentioned. I see a question from Manas. How are SAP Business One customers boosting up their businesses using BTP?
I apologize. I didn't quite hear you well. Could you repeat that question, please?
It says, how are SAP Business One customers boosting up their business using BTP? That's a little loaded question.
Okay.
Be a big answer.
Business One customers, did I hear that right?
That's the
Yes.
question. Yeah.
I apologize. I must draw a little bit of a blank, to be honest, as I'm not quite clear what Business One refers to.
So Manas, maybe if you can just elaborate on that while we go on to our next question from Ozan. Are there any big interface changes, or which use of BTP Cockpit will get the biggest updates after AI changes?
I think, again, the Jewel capabilities will be the big update that is coming, that we know is going to happen. We are, just like anything on the BTP, right? We're really in a cloud mindset there, meaning continuous delivery, right? I think the big one last year, of course, that everyone noticed was when we delivered the Horizon theme. So the new Fiori, the look and feel of the cockpits. Yeah, but really, we deliver new features, new functionalities, almost on a weekly level at this point, yeah, to the BTP cockpits. If you mean something as big as the paradigm shift that we had from feature set A to feature set B, right, where we introduced, for instance, directories to group sub-accounts into your BTP environment, as well as a number of enhancements to the security side as well as the administration side, both on the cockpit as well as on the APIs and command line interface. Yeah, not something that big is planned. Like I said, it's much more of an iterative process at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any new questions in the chat. So with that, thank you again, Arne, for a great session. Thank you, Sinan, for filling in for Tania this session. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I hope hopefully Arne's been able to answer all of your questions, and maybe even created a few new questions that we can answer in the near future. With that, have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're located. And we'll, as they say, same time, same place next week for our next session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Many thanks. Have a great day, everyone.